was walking down the street one day. A man came up to me.
Hi, Phil Aston here from the Now Spinning group, nowspinning.co.uk, and also on Facebook, and actually on YouTube, which is where a new audience are now discovering these little videos. I've actually been asked to do this one, and I know that many of you know me, know that it's no surprise that I'm rather a large Deep Purple fan, so someone asking me to actually review something that's associated with that band is rather cool. Makes me feel like I'm not being too biased. So this is what I've been asked to review, which is the box set called Listen, Learn and Read On. It's from 2002, and it's when box sets were boxes, really big boxes, and I think this was about 50 odd quid when it came out. Now let's think about that, because if this came out now, I bet you this would be nearly 90, 100 pounds. In fact, it's out of print now, it's gone for good. They don't do boxes in this kind of format anymore. So let's talk about this and the sheer enormous amount of tracks that were on it. At the time, many of these were rare, first time on CD, or never appeared before. That's not the case now. This is probably one of the reasons it's gone out of print, is that a lot of this now is available. There are still one or two gems on there that only exist here, and I'll go over those. Right, let's have a quick shufty at what it looks like. It was an ambitious box. I'm not sure about the actual cover work, but I can see why they chose that in a way. I think that was also used on a single cover. As you fold it out, you've got various arty pictures, and then it folds out into an enormous 6-disc set, covering every era of Purple up till 1976. And they've got a few things on there, that slogans that were meant something at the time, but it's elaborate. But what made it especially elaborate was the book. 120-page book, and that's what made this such a special thing. Now, the book itself is based off this book, which came out in the early 80s by Chris Charlesworth, and this has been out of print for a very long time. I think it was printed in Italy, and when they went to do reprint, the Italian print company had decided to delete the masters, so they couldn't redo another one. But luckily, Simon Robinson, for it is he that does a lot of this stuff, had kept copies of a lot of the stuff here, and basically he just updated it. So this book is probably one of the definitive books on Deep Purple by one of the definitive people who knows all about Deep Purple, which is Simon Robinson, who still runs the fan club to this day. And it goes into absolute tons of detail, real train spotter stuff. Each album is in here, obviously, with every other format that ever was pressed, so you can actually see whether you need to keep buying them, like I seem to do, and I don't seem to be able to help myself. It's like seeing them in a charity shop. I feel like I'm rescuing them if I see one that's all on its own. So it goes through everything, as you can imagine. So it's all there, from concerto, with lots of pictures that some people will know really well and some people may not. But this is tons of reading, whereas I know a lot of box sets and the booklets, you kind of race through them and you're done, and you might flick through the pictures every so often. The only other one like this, to me, that goes into this amount of detail are the Jethro Tull releases, which obviously are even more intense because they're just one album at a time. But this goes through the whole history of Purple, and I think what makes it such a great book is that it doesn't overly focus on just Mark II. It goes through the solo albums up to that point. So Rainbow mentioned the pre-Purple stuff like Zephyr, Trapeze, but mainly also Tommy Bolin gets a good mention. I mean, we have to remember that Mark IV only made technically one album, but they do get good mention, and and it's a good write-up. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff on the kind of how Purple unwound towards the end of their 1976 era, but it's some good stuff. So it really is, if you can find it. And then it goes through all the discography, all the live albums that have come out since this time. This goes up to you can see it's got Rainbow, Gillan and Whitesnake at the bottom there. This goes all the way up to 2000 with This Time Around live in Tokyo 1975, which was a reworking of Last Concert in Japan. So if I had any criticism about this box, it is that I know why he did it. On disc 1, what they did was, with 18 tracks, they decided to kind of focus on the roots of Deep Purple. So you've got MI5, which is Ian Pace, The Outlaws, Richie Blackmore, Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, Episode 6, Ian Gillan, Trapeze, The Government, which he's got David Coverdale, one of his first bands when he was literally sounding like a Frank Sinatra crooner, and in Tommy Bolin with Zephyr. I kind of felt weird about this, but thinking if anyone was new to Purple, which I guess this box set wasn't aimed at people like that, they think, what the hell is going on here? It's not necessarily how I would have done it. And disc 2 has lots of stuff from the BBC, which came out as a separate disc later on. And there's stuff that also was from the Concerto that wasn't out at the time, which has since come out separately. So that's there as well. There's some studio chat, which has also come out on some of the remasters since, on In Rock and Fireball. There's the mixes by Roger Glover, which again came out via the individual remasters. Some of the things, though, didn't make it onto the remasters, but were still tweaked. And so you've got stuff like, if I can remember rightly which one it is, Mary Long is remixed by Roger Glover, and that isn't on Who Do We Think We Are, so that's still unique to this actual pressing. And there is also a live Mark II gig from Montreux, which again isn't really easy to find at all. It was done on the Purple Records imprint, but it's not available anymore. But probably the main rarities here are things like Falls from Fireball. There was a version where they were still messing around with the lyrics, and that's on here and isn't on the Fireball remaster. So that's missing. So there are some things on here that make it kind of unique. But even some of the quad mixes from Stormbringer, they're obviously now available actually on Stormbringer itself, and plus there's some live jams from Tommy Bolin period, and that's also available now separately. But it's mainly this book that to me makes this a valuable piece to have in your collection if you're a big Purple fan. So it's out of print now. It's gone. I haven't looked on eBay. I haven't done any background research because these things change so much. But there were a lot of tracks on here, newly remastered at the time. As I say, 6 discs when box sets were box sets. So if you're a Purple fan, I would recommend it. But it's going to be expensive, I imagine, if you look for it now. But anyway, that's that album, and hope you found that enjoyable, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.